Admiral Kovacs's crystalline form shimmered with anxiety as she addressed the emergency Galactic Council. Her usual rainbow patterns had dulled to a worried gray as she pulled up the holographic footage from Starbase 9. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, her voice resonating through the chamber, "what you are about to witness explains why we've gathered here today." It began as a routine maintenance cycle. The footage showed a standard-issue maintenance bay aboard Starbase 9, one of the busiest trading hubs in the Orion Arm. Chief Engineer Zara Hassan stood before the station's primary gravity control unit, her dark eyes sparkling with what Kovacs had come to recognize as dangerous human inspiration. "Watch closely," Kovacs instructed, her crystals pulsing with dread. "This is the moment that changed everything." In the recording, Zara tapped her chin thoughtfully while studying the gravity unit's diagnostic readout. "You know," she mused to her maintenance bot, "with a few tweaks, we could make this way more interesting." Several council members released distress pheromones. They all knew what happened when humans used words like interesting. The footage continued as Zara began what she would later call minor modifications to the gravity control systems. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, rerouting power conduits and reprogramming control algorithms. The maintenance bot's warning lights flashed increasingly faster, but Zara just patted its casing reassuringly. "Don't worry, MB," she said to the bot. "This will be fun." The council chamber erupted in gasps. Even the methane-breathing delegates stopped their usual bubbling. "Yes," Kovacs confirmed grimly. She used the words. The recording showed what happened next in excruciating detail. Zara's modifications created what she termed a gravity jazz effect. Different sections of the station began experiencing varying levels of gravity, changing in rhythm with the station's power pulse. At first, Kovacs explained, it merely affected the maintenance bay. The footage showed Zara bouncing delightedly from floor to ceiling, using the varying gravity fields to perform what she called space parkour. But it didn't stop there. The effect spread through the station's power grid, creating what humans would later describe as the galaxy's biggest bounce house. Trading floors became zero dance parties. The diplomatic quarter transformed into an impromptu aerial ballet venue. Even the normally stoic vulcanite merchants were seen performing graceful somersaults through their market stalls. "The truly alarming part," Kovacs continued, her crystalline form vibrating with concern, "was how quickly other humans joined in." The footage shifted to show various human reactions to the gravity fluctuations. Instead of panic, they displayed what Kovacs had termed in her report as devastating adaptability. A group of human traders organized an impromptu zero basketball league. The station's human medical staff discovered that the varying gravity fields could be used to perform more efficient physical therapy. Even the human diplomatic court found ways to incorporate the gravity changes into their negotiations, claiming it really helped break the ice. Within 6 hours, Kovacs reported, her voice dropping to a horrified whisper, they had established rules for 3 new sports, developed a gravity surfing scoring system, and scheduled what they called the first annual Starbase 9 Anti-Gravity Olympics. The council watched as the footage showed an entire station of beings adapting to and even embracing the chaos. Maintenance crews installed handholds and bounce pads. Safety officers established gravity zone warnings. Someone even programmed the station's AI to announce gravity changes with musical cues. But surely, interrupted Councillor Zextil, their tentacles writhing anxiously, this caused massive disruptions to station operations. Kovacs's crystals flickered in what might have been embarrassment. Station productivity actually increased by 27%. Apparently, the variable gravity conditions improved circulation for most species and made heavy cargo transport more entertaining. The footage concluded with Zora Hassan's official incident report. Under description of event, she had written, "Successfully improved station-wide environmental engagement and cross-species recreational opportunities through creative gravitational enhancement. Under preventive measures for future incidents, she had simply noted, why prevent it? Everyone's having a blast. This, honored colleagues, Kovacs concluded, is why we must establish new protocols. Humanity has been part of the galactic community for less than a standard century, and already they've turned 3 molecular fabricators into what they call cosmic candy machines, converted a quantum communications array into something called a galaxy-wide karaoke system, and now this. She gestured at the final footage, showing various species happily bouncing through their daily routines on Starbase 9. We must act before they make the entire galaxy more fun. The council murmured in agreement, but Kovacs noticed something disturbing. Several of the younger delegates were taking notes. One was even watching archived footage of the anti-gravity Olympics with poorly concealed interest. It was already spreading. As the council prepared to debate potential regulations, an aide rushed in with urgent news. Kovacs's crystals paled to near transparency as she read the report. "It seems," she announced, her voice trembling, "that Engineer Hassan has just been transferred to the Galactic Central Archive." She was last heard saying something about making library science more exciting. The council chamber erupted into chaos. They had to act fast. But deep down, Kovacs suspected they were already too late. The humans had introduced something far more potent than any technology into the galaxy. They had introduced possibility. And there was no protocol for that. The Galactic Safety Council's new headquarters gleamed like a beacon of order in the chaos of space. Its pristine corridors were lined with warning signs in 37 languages, and every surface had been engineered to be completely human-proof, or so they thought. High Commissioner Envel, a towering figure of shimmering plasma contained within an environmental suit, stood before the assembled Safety Council, their energy form flickering with barely contained frustration. "Our initial protocols," Envel announced, "have proven less than effective." The holographic display activated, showing footage from across the galaxy. Each image highlighted what Envel's report diplomatically termed creative compliance with the new safety regulations. "At Outpost Delta 7, we installed human-proof locks," Envel explained. The footage showed Human Security Officer Raj Patel standing before a massive vault door, grinning. They turned it into a competition. They now hold weekly speed-solving tournaments. The council watched as Patel's fingers danced across the lock's surface, solving its supposedly uncrackable sequence in under 10 seconds. He had even added a musical accompaniment. "We implemented mandatory safety briefings," Envel continued, their plasma form darkening with remembered frustration. The display shifted to show a classroom setting. The humans started adding sound effects and choreography. The footage revealed what had become known as the safety dance phenomenon. Human crews across the galaxy had transformed standard emergency procedures into elaborate musical numbers. Even more alarming, other species had begun joining in. Last week, Envel reported, an entire hive mind colony requested dance lessons. The display shifted again, showing the new containment zones they had established on major space stations. These were designated areas where humans could experiment safely, under strict supervision. The Council had considered it their most brilliant solution. The humans, Envel's voice dropped to a whisper, have turned them into theme parks. The footage showed the containment zone on Station Gamma 9. What should have been a sterile testing facility had become something humans called the greatest show in space. They had organized the safety protocols into different attraction zones, complete with guided tours and souvenir stands. "But surely," interrupted Councillor Ixel, their crystalline form vibrating with hope, "this means they're at least staying within designated areas." Envel's plasma form swirled in what the Council had learned to recognize as their equivalent of a headshake. Their franchising. The display showed a graph of entertainment safety zones spreading across the galaxy like a particularly cheerful virus. Humans had somehow turned regulatory compliance into a profitable entertainment industry. And then, Envel continued, there's the incident with junior engineer Olivia Santos. The footage shifted to a research station in the Carina Nebula. Santos stood before a quantum containment field, her eyes gleaming with what the Council now classified as pre-incident inspiration syndrome. The containment field was designed to be impenetrable, Novell explained. She turned it into something called a quantum trampoline. The Council watched in horror as Santos demonstrated her modification, bouncing through quantum space in what she termed perfectly safe short-range teleportation hops. She had even added sparkles. The worst part, Ninvel's plasma roiled, is that it works. Her method of quantum tunneling is 300% more efficient than our standard transportation systems. 3 major shipping companies have already requested installation permits. The display showed the spread of quantum bounce transport across the sector. Cargo ships now bounced between stars, leaving trails of sparkles in their wake. Even the notoriously conservative Merchant Guild of Antares had adopted the system, claiming it made deliveries more enjoyable. Our latest initiative, Novell continued, bringing up new footage, involved implementing a galaxy-wide safety monitoring system. We called it the Universal Regulatory Oversight Network, or URONEN. The Council watched as the massive network of sensors and AI systems came online, designed to detect and prevent potentially hazardous human activities before they began. The humans, Ninvel's plasma form dimmed to a defeated gray, named it Euron, and taught it to tell jokes. The footage showed the AI system now adding humorous safety tips to its warnings and organizing what it called fun compliance challenges across the galaxy. It had developed a particularly popular comedy routine about proper airlock procedures. Yesterday, Novell concluded, URON requested permission to start its own entertainment channel. The Council chamber fell into stunned silence, broken only by the distant sound of humans teaching a group of methane-breathing delegates how to do something called the wave. Perhaps, suggested a junior counselor, their bioluminescent patterns brightening with sudden inspiration. We've been approaching this wrong. Instead of trying to contain human creativity, maybe we should. Don't say it, Novell warned, but it was too late. Make safety more fun. The chamber erupted into chaos as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just adapting to their protocols. They were transforming them. And now, to Novell's horror, the Council itself was beginning to change. As if to confirm their worst fears, an alert flashed across the display. Engineer Santos had just been assigned to upgrade the Council's own safety systems. Her initial proposal was titled, Adding Pizzazz to Protocol, a quantum approach to regulatory entertainment. Novell's plasma form swirled with resignation. They had built this headquarters to be the galaxy's ultimate example of safety and order. Now, watching as a conga line of junior delegates wound through the corridor outside, they realized they had created something else entirely. The galaxy's most secure playground. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, humans were teaching the universe how to play. Dr. Jasmine Rivera stood before the Galactic Science Council, her holographic presentation flickering with what she insisted were entirely intentional disco effects. Behind her, a star map pulsed in rhythm to what humans called funk. First speaker Xon, their crystalline body refracting light in patterns of scientific curiosity mixed with dread, addressed the assembled council. We are here to review the unexpected results of the Epsilon Stellar Cartography Project. The footage began playing, showing the pristine stellar cartography lab aboard the research vessel Epsilon. Dr. Rivera, recently appointed head of Dynamic Stellar Visualization, had been tasked with making star maps more accurate. Instead, she made them dance. In my defense, Rivera's recorded voice explained over the footage, traditional stellar mapping is incredibly boring. Stars don't just sit there. They move. They pulse. They have rhythm. The council watched as Rivera and her team began what they called choreographing the cosmos. They assigned musical notes to different types of stars, created movement patterns based on stellar drift, and translated gravitational waves into bass lines. The breakthrough, Hexon continued, their crystalline form vibrating with barely contained amazement, occurred during what humans call a late-night inspiration session. The footage showed Rivera and her team, punch-drunk from too many hours mapping the Carina Nebula, attempting to teach the lab's AI to dance like a pulsar. They had programmed the stellar hologram to move in sync with their movements, creating what Rivera termed a cosmic dance party. "Watch closely," John instructed. This is the moment everything changed. In the recording, Rivera executed what she called a stellar spin, her movements perfectly synchronized with the holographic star field. As she turned, the stars seemed to blur, stretch, and then the entire lab shifted 2 light years to the left. "We didn't mean to discover a new form of FTL travel," Rivera's voice explained over the footage of her team's shocked faces. "We were just trying to make astronomy more groovy." The council watched in fascination as subsequent footage showed Rivera's team refining what they dubbed choreographic quantum tunneling. They discovered that certain dance moves, when perfectly synchronized with stellar frequencies, could create stable wormholes. The humans, Exxon reported, their crystal facets showing complex patterns of bewilderment, have turned faster than light travel into a dance style. The display showed the spread of quantum dance drives across the galaxy. Ships now employed teams of navigation dancers who guided vessels through space with choreographed movements. The more complex the dance routine, the faster and more efficient the journey. The Arcturus Trading Federation, Exxon noted, reported a 400% increase in delivery speeds after implementing what humans call the cosmic shuffle. Even more remarkably, the new technology proved almost impossible to weaponize. As Rivera's team discovered, the wormholes only stabilized when the dancers were, in their words, feeling the groove. "We tried to understand the underlying physics," Exxon admitted, their crystalline form showing embarrassment patterns. "Our most advanced quantum computers produced only one response: just dance." The footage shifted to show the current state of stellar cartography across the galaxy. Traditional star maps had been replaced by what humans called stellar choreography charts. Navigation courses were now written in dance notation. Even the most serious scientific conferences have begun incorporating what was termed interpretive stellar movement. The hive mind of Betelgeuse, Exxon reported, has requested dance instructors for all their navigation crews. The silicon consciousness of Tau Ceti has developed specialized rhythm processors. Even the energy beings of Vega have started hosting what they call quantum raves. The council chamber, once a bastion of serious scientific discourse, now featured a dance floor. For research purposes, Exxon explained hurriedly, noting the looks of surprise. But perhaps most alarming, Exxon continued, their crystal structure showing concern patterns, is what happened when Dr. Rivera's team collaborated with the temporal physics department. The final footage showed Rivera teaching a group of time researchers something called the time warp. The results were still classified, but there were rumors of disco balls appearing throughout history. "We must decide," Exxon concluded, "how to proceed." Dr. Rivera has submitted a proposal for what she calls Project Boogie Wonderland, an attempt to map the entire universe through interpretive dance. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some members argued for careful regulation of recreational physics. Others were already practicing their moves. Before they could reach a decision, an alert flashed across the display. Dr. Rivera's team had accidentally discovered that certain dance moves could manipulate dark energy. They were currently teaching a black hole to breakdance. Exxon's crystalline form showed a new pattern that xenologists would later classify as resigned enthusiasm. The universe, it seemed, had a rhythm. Humans had simply been the first to ask it to dance. As if to prove the point, the council chamber's gravity began to pulse in time with a beat. Somewhere, in a lab filled with dancing scientists and grooving AIs, humanity was teaching physics itself how to have fun. And the cosmos, against all probability and several laws of thermodynamics, was learning to dance. The Galactic Containment Facility loomed in space like a monument to order and regulation. Its designer, Grand Architect Zix, had proclaimed it absolutely, positively, unequivocally human-proof. The facility had lasted exactly 3 days before becoming what humans called the ultimate Space Olympics. Director Venel reviewed the footage with their tentacles twitching in what had become a permanent state of nervous resignation. The display showed the facility's transformation from a containment center into what was now the galaxy's most popular entertainment destination. It began, Venel reported to the Emergency Council, with human recreation specialist Daniel Okonjo's response to our new containment protocols. The footage showed Okonjo examining the facility's security measures, quantum barriers, probability shields, and paradox locks. Instead of trying to bypass them, he had smiled and said those fateful words. These would make awesome obstacle courses. Within hours, humans had organized what they called the Great Space Race, turning each security system into a competitive challenge. The quantum barriers became phase shift Parker zones. The probability shields were now quantum lottery slides. Even the paradox locks had been transformed into puzzle-solving competitions. But the real problem, Venel continued, their chromatophores flashing distress patterns, was how quickly other species joined in. The display showed various alien races participating in what had become known as extreme safety sports. Crystalline beings practiced quantum gymnastics through the barrier fields. Methane brothers held probability surfing competitions. Even the traditionally stoic energy collectives had developed a passion for what they termed paradox dancing. We tried implementing stricter controls, Venel said, bringing up new footage. The humans turned them into league rankings. The facility now hosted regular tournaments, complete with interspecies teams and a complex scoring system that somehow incorporated both safety compliance and style points. They called it regulated chaos competition. Yesterday, Venel reported, their tentacles drooping, our AI security system requested to be the official scorekeeper. The council watched in stunned silence as the facility's security feeds showed the current state of their containment efforts. Every safety measure had become a sports venue. Every regulation had spawned a new competitive category. Even the facility's warning sirens had been remixed into what humans called safety rave music. In conclusion, Venel said, our attempt at containment has instead created the galaxy's first official human-style adventure academy. The worst part? It was working better than anyone had expected. Accident rates were down. Safety compliance was at an all-time high. Species that had never interacted before were forming sports teams and competing in extreme safety challenges. The universe, it seemed, had learned to play by the rules, by turning the rules into a game. The Galactic Council chamber had changed. Where once stood austere podiums and formal barriers, now floated holographic displays showing what humans called highlight reels of the latest safety tournament. Even the ancient ceremonial chimes had been remixed with what Council Elder Phatrix reluctantly admitted was a pretty catchy beat. We are gathered today, Phatrix announced, their energy form pulsing with multicolored patterns that would have been considered highly unprofessional a year ago, to discuss the state of our galaxy following the integration protocol. The display showed a time-lapse of the past standard year. The spread of human influence had not been contained. Instead, it had been channeled, guided, and surprisingly, improved. The statistics, Phatrix reported, are impossible to ignore. Innovation rates had increased by 300%. Interspecies cooperation was at an all-time high. Even the dreaded paperwork had become more efficient after humans introduced what they called bureaucracy speedrunning. We tried to contain chaos, Phatrix mused, and instead learned to dance with it. The footage showed scenes from across the galaxy. The quantum dance strides had evolved into a new form of art science, with navigation teams performing increasingly complex stellar ballets. The Safety Sports League had expanded to include thousands of worlds, each adding their own cultural twists to the competitions. Even the most serious institutions had been transformed. The Galactic Archive now featured extreme librarian competitions. The diplomatic corps had incorporated dance-based negotiation techniques. The Science Academy had officially recognized recreational physics as a legitimate field of study. But perhaps most significantly, Phatrix continued, their energy patterns showing what xenologists now called enlightened amusement. We have discovered that the human concept of fun is actually a fundamental force of the universe. The final display showed the results of a decade-long study. Fun, it turned out, was not chaos, but rather a form of creative order. It was the universe's way of exploring new possibilities, of finding better solutions through play. And so, Phatrix concluded, we propose a new protocol. The chamber hushed as the proposal appeared. The Galactic Fun Integration Directive. Because the universe is too interesting not to play with. As if in response, somewhere in the facility, a quantum harmonics experiment accidentally created a light show. Instead of panic, the council members simply adjusted their gravity fields to better appreciate the impromptu display. The galaxy had changed. It was still ordered, still functional, but now it moved with a rhythm, pulsed with creativity, danced with possibility. Humanity hadn't disrupted the cosmic order. They had revealed its true nature. The universe, it turned out, had always known how to dance. It just needed someone brave enough, or perhaps crazy enough, to take the first step. As the council session ended, Phatrix noticed their own energy patterns forming what humans called a smile. Above them, the facility's AI began playing what it considered appropriate closing ceremony music. And somewhere, in a lab or a station or a ship among the stars, a human was looking at something impossible and saying those words that once caused so much fear, but now sparked so much hope. This will be fun. The galaxy would never be the same. It would be better. It would be more efficient. And most importantly, it would be a lot more fun. Even the laws of physics had learned to dance, and the universe itself was joining in the chorus.